And, that's cool. I saw a Ford truck or I saw a Coca-Cola bottle or whatever it is, but there's no way to track conversions and know whether it worked. And, the beauty of the just advertising in general online is I can now spend a dollar and I can know what is it that I got out of that. And, 20 years ago when I started in the marketing industry, nobody could tell me. They'd tell me how many thousand people saw my ad, but I didn't know whether it was the right person or if they did anything or if they and now you can pretty much zero in on the type of person you want to see that ad, and you're burning money. You're stupid if you just spend money to boost a post. If it's, if you think about it, it's like, okay, cool, 1,000 people saw or 10,000 people saw it. That's great. Did it make you feel good?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
your
well,
payoff. It's
yeah, that's
stupid.
your payoff. And it's there's needs to be more strategy than that. The whole from that point of view of that first piece of content, which I call like a fan magnet ultimately to drive new audience in. Then what's the purpose of that? What's the call to action? Then what are you doing from there? And you got to get them through a whole, ultimately it's a funnel, right? And every other industry has this. Right, you can understand the cost per acquisition, the lifetime value of your clients, right? But the music industry doesn't look at it like that, and that's been my biggest thing was there was no platform. And I mean, this kind of gives us, a leeway into like what we built, but that's why I built it. Literally what you're saying is why I built FanFlowy, because there was no way to understand what the cost was for an actual fan. And ultimately, like the whole industry is right now playing the lottery. Everybody in the music industry plays the lottery. They want to post something and they want it to go viral, but there's no system in place that's running all day, every day to ensure that you're driving and making new fans every day. Well, even if it's 5 to 20 new ones a day, you need that system, and then you get an understanding. Okay, how many of them converted to which streaming platform? How many of them converted on a sale on the first offer, on the second offer, on the third offer? How many of them actually came out to the show in this market, in this market? So there was nothing built like that, and that was my whole thing. Every other marketing, every other industry with marketing has this, and the music industry didn't. So we built it.
Well, and it's funny you talk about that. I mean, that fan magnet, people spend all this money to bring somebody in, but it's kind of like you're going to Walmart or Home Depot, and you spent this. As a musician, you got them to come to see your thing where your music was. Then you walk into a Walmart and all of a sudden you got 30,000 things on the shelves all around you. You get distracted and lost. So that's great. You brought somebody into Spotify, but now they just get distracted by everything else. So if in a real situation, if let's say that you were that person at the Walmart and you had to have them do, buy the next thing or come to your concert, and you only had one person coming in, I guarantee you're going to meet them at the door. You're going to greet them. You're going to hold their hand. You're going to go walk them over to say, "Hey, check out this thing that we've got here," or, tell them the story behind it. And, that's just, it's interesting that the whole, what happens after you get somebody that likes you, or people go perform at concerts all the time. And I'll watch these like openers, people that, they're sometimes better than the main act.
Yes.
But then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I watched this person, I loved them, but then there was like no next step. Like, do I connect with a QR code, or can I give you my email address? I got to go, like, I'm sitting there oftentimes at a concert and I'm like Googling, well, who's this person? They don't have a web page. I can't even engage with them or try to connect with them if I wanted to half the time.
Jason, our brains are like almost exact with this. This is crazy to me because what you're speaking, like the way you're talking about this is how I tell everybody. Because the way you got to think about the way I structured our system, right, is the same exact way when you play a live show and you're the opener, like you just said, and you catch the attention of somebody that's there for somebody else, right? They're on the internet, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on TikTok for something else. And then you catch their attention. It's like them going to the show and watching the headliner and you catch their attention. Same idea. And they go, "Oh my God, I love this. This is amazing. This is really cool. Awesome. What are the next steps?" Like you're saying, great. Typically, you have them and you meet them after you perform at the merch table, right? You go there, they want to come meet you, and it becomes a human connection. "Hey, my God, you guys are amazing." And then the artist goes, "Oh, thank you so much. What's your name?" "Oh, my name's Ben." "Ben, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for coming to the show. Where are you from?" "Oh, I'm from that." It's a real conversation happens. Then from there, it's like, "Hey, if you want, would you like to sign up for our VIP fan list? That way, when we're coming back in town, we got a new release. Here's the QR code, or back in the day, here's the clipboard, like, but it's like ultimately you're doing that. And then, oh, by the way, look, we got some merchandise here. You want to buy something? That is the natural funnel of that relationship from a show to there. So what I did was I go, let's recreate that digitally and let's make it automated. And so that's what FanFlowy does.